we've discovered the answer to every motorist problem. Introducing Charlie Steinlau.
But you've never seen it quite like this. Tonight, we've got a breath.
Imagine having the power to travel back in time with just a photograph. Photographs do not only capture moments, but they also allow us to glimpse forgotten worlds and events. Today, we will explore 50 images that will not only surprise you, but completely change the way you view history. These images are more than just simple memories. They are windows into the past, enabling us to understand those events that once seemed distant in a more visceral way. Some will move you deeply, others will send chills down your spine, but all of them have the power to make us reconsider what we think we know about our history. Join us as we discover 50 photographs that will make you reconsider what you thought you knew about the past. Number 50. Christmas Packages for Fallen Soldiers, 1944. During Christmas 1944, a sad and poignant reminder of the brutality of war took place in New York City. Christmas packages filled with gifts intended for soldiers were being returned to their senders. The war not only took lives, but also left families waiting for the return of their loved ones, only to receive the bitter news: their soldiers would not be coming back. These packages, meant to bring joy, became symbols of sadness and sacrifice. A painful image, but one that highlights the deep emotional impact of war on everyday life. Number 49. A Powerful Demonstration, 1949. In 1949, the streets of China witnessed a historic demonstration that would mark a turning point in the country's history. Crowds of citizens gathered to express their support for the Chinese Revolution, an event that propelled the foundation of the People's Republic of China. The image of that united crowd, raising banners and voices, became a symbol of the Chinese people's determination. This moment was crucial for the country's future as it paved the way for a new era under Mao Zedong's leadership and a radically transformed political system. Number 48. Colossal Black Grouper, 1901. In 1901, an astonishing achievement in the waters of the sea was captured in a photograph that quickly became a legend. The image shows a regal woman wearing a tiara made of seashells, holding a gigantic 190-kilogram black grouper caught with a traditional fishing rod. The face of the fisherman, weathered and full of pride, reflected the awe of having achieved such an incredible feat. This image not only celebrated an extraordinary catch, but also the bravery and skill required to face the fury of the sea. The story behind this catch became a symbol of perseverance for fishermen and adventurers around the world. Number 47. Elon Musk on the Farm, 1988. Before becoming the tech mogul known for his innovations with Tesla, SpaceX, and other companies, Elon Musk was just a curious teenager with big dreams. In a photo from 1988, Musk appears on his cousin's farm, wearing two hats and holding a hammer. Despite the simplicity of the scene, the photo captures the essence of a young man who, though far from the technology of Silicon Valley, already displayed the determination and focus that would later propel him to change the world. This image, showing a humbler and more modest Musk, reflects his personal and professional growth into the influential figure he is today. Number 46. Fidel Castro at a meeting, 1963. In 1963, during a visit to the Kremlin, Fidel Castro was photographed with a confident demeanor, enjoying a Cuban cigar while wearing two Rolex watches, which seemed to be a statement of his personal character and vision of power. This image of Castro, with his determined posture and imposing appearance, reflects the enigmatic and complex figure he represented. With his presence, Castro appeared as a leader who not only defied Western powers, but also adopted symbols of luxury and power that reflected his influence in global politics. Number 45. Golden Gate Bridge, 1930s. The construction of the Golden Gate Bridge in the 1930s was a monumental challenge, but also an astounding technical achievement. During its construction, a man was photographed standing on the structure fearlessly, demonstrating bravery and skill. Despite the inherent risks, the project maintained an impressive safety record. Of the $35 million spent on construction, only 11 workers lost their lives, while 19 more were saved thanks to a safety net that hung underneath the bridge. This image of audacity captures not only the impressive engineering of the bridge, but also the determination of the men who built it. Number 44. Family photo on the moon, 1972. When astronaut Charles Duke became the youngest person to walk on the moon in 1972, he did something unique. He took a photo of his family on the lunar surface. In a touching and personal gesture, Duke immortalized the connection between his life on Earth and his extraordinary journey in space. This photograph, taken in a place where no human had ever been before, represents one of the most symbolic images of space exploration, uniting family and humanity with the vast and unexplored universe. Number 43. Bill Clinton's cat. During Bill Clinton's presidency, his cat, Socks, became one of the most beloved pets at the White House. Socks, a black and white feline, won the hearts of Americans and became a celebrity in its own right. In 1993, when the Clintons moved into the White House, Socks was an endearing figure, with his own media story and even a video game dedicated to him. The photo of Socks in the White House became an iconic image of the presidency, reminding the nation that life in the White House also has moments of tenderness and familiarity. Number 42. Woman at Niagara Falls, 1901. On October 24, 1901, a fearless woman defied the forces of nature and gravity in an act that would become part of history. On her birthday, this brave woman descended the mighty Niagara Falls in a barrel. This daring descent was a feat of courage, a mix of excitement and anxiety, captured in an image that remains one of the most iconic in the history of Niagara Falls. It was both a reckless and personal act, reminding us that some people are willing to do the unimaginable to mark a moment in history. Number 41. Traffic police in Philadelphia, 1922. In 1922, when the streets of Philadelphia became congested with the growing number of automobiles, a police officer came up with an ingenious solution. Instead of automatic traffic lights, traffic officers manually controlled the signals. Equipped with devices that allowed them to regulate the flow of vehicles and pedestrians, these traffic officers managed to maintain order at the city's chaotic intersections. This innovative system helped prevent accidents and provided a temporary solution as cities adapted to the arrival of the automobile. A fascinating glimpse into a time of transition. Number 40. Blind Man Singing, 1899. In 1899, in the city of Minsk, a moving scene was captured by the photographer Nikolai Mikhailovich Magoliansky. The image showed a blind man singing a melody that touched the hearts of all who heard it. Around him, beggars and passers-by stopped, drawn in by the beauty of his voice, while a talented Belarusian musician played his instrument to accompany the song. In a moment of solidarity and beauty, the music united everyone, reminding us that even in times of difficulty, art has the power to connect people and uplift their spirits. Number 39. 9 monarchs at the funeral of Edward VII, 1910. The funeral of Edward VII in 1910 was a unique event in royal history. 9 reigning monarchs gathered to pay tribute to the British king, a moment immortalized in a historic photograph. The kings of Norway, Bulgaria, Portugal, Greece, Belgium, Spain, the United Kingdom and Denmark lined up in what was an unprecedented gathering of European monarchies. This image captures the magnificence of an era of great empires, a visual testament to the connections between royal houses in the heart of Europe. Number 38. Elvis Presley in the Army. Before becoming the King of Rock, Elvis Presley had an experience that deeply marked his life and career. his service in the United States Army. In 1958, Elvis was drafted and spent 2 years in Germany. Away from the stage and the spotlight of fame, his time in the Army instilled discipline, humility, and a sense of responsibility in him. Despite being a world-famous figure, his time in the Army made him more human and approachable. That time away from the stage also allowed him to mature and undoubtedly influence the person and artist he would become later. Number 37. Boxing among sailors on the USS Oregon, 1897. Aboard the battleship USS Oregon in 1897, a group of sailors found an unusual way to pass the time between the arduous military tasks, a boxing match. During a break from the monotony and violence of life aboard, the sailors faced off in an improvised ring on the ship's deck. This display of strength and skill became a legend within the ship, symbolizing the camaraderie and fighting spirit that kept the soldiers united even in the highest moments of tension. Number 36. Che Guevara and Fidel Castro on a fishing trip, 1960. In 1960, two of the most influential icons of the Cuban Revolution, Che Guevara and Fidel Castro, took a break from politics to enjoy a peaceful day of fishing. Surrounded by the beautiful landscapes of Cuba, both leaders shared a moment of camaraderie away from the hustle of political struggles. This trip not only symbolizes the friendship and alliance between the two, but also a more human and lesser-known side of these revolutionary leaders, whose lives were marked by struggle, but who, like everyone, also needed to disconnect and enjoy the little things. Number 35. Laurel and Hardy. Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy are synonymous with classic comedy and slapstick cinema. This comic duo was one of the most beloved pairs of the silent film era and the early days of sound cinema. Their chemistry and ability to make people laugh through simple slapstick and comedic situations continue to be celebrated today. Their last photo, taken when they were older, captures a beautiful moment in which their faces reflect both the experience of a lifetime in comedy and the affection between them. Their legacy endures as a pillar of the history of cinema and comedy. Number 34. Female gorilla cradling a small child, 1996. In 1996, at a zoo in Illinois, an act of animal compassion took place that touched the world. A 3-year-old boy who had accidentally fallen into a gorilla enclosure was rescued by Binti Joa, an 8-year-old gorilla. Upon seeing the injured and disoriented child, Binti Joa gently cradled him and carried him safely to a secure place. This heroic act of protection demonstrated the intelligence and empathy of animals and reminded us that sometimes nature can be more compassionate than humanity itself. It was a moment that showed that love and protection know no species barriers. Number 33. Women working. During World War I. During World War I, millions of men enlisted to fight at the front, leaving vacancies in domestic jobs. For the first time in many countries, women took on roles that had previously been considered exclusively male, including jobs in factories, offices, and on the civilian front. In 1918, a group of women worked hard, delivering ice to keep food fresh in times of scarcity and heat. Although this type of work diminished as refrigerators became common, the memory of these brave women remains alive as a symbol of strength and adaptability during a historical period of great changes. Number 32. 4 Horsemen on the Streets of Amsterdam, 1973. On November 4, 1973, 4 horsemen rode through the streets of Amsterdam, but this was not a medieval image. It was a nostalgic reminder of how times were changing. Europe was facing an oil crisis, and in response, many cities implemented car-free days to save resources. In this context, the horsemen rode through the city, evoking times past when horses were the primary means of transportation. This scene was a symbol of how daily life suddenly regressed to simpler times in response to a global crisis. Number 31, Arnold Schwarzenegger's first competition, 1963. In 1963, at just 16 years old, Arnold Schwarzenegger competed in his first bodybuilding contest. Despite being the youngest contestant, his determination and discipline led him to victory. This was only the beginning of an extraordinary career that would make him a legend in bodybuilding, cinema, and politics. His story shows that success is not just about talent, but about relentless dedication and an unstoppable mindset. Years later, Arnold would become a globally recognized figure, but it all began at that first competition, where he forged his path to greatness. Number 30, Human-Powered Tractor, 1880. In Europe, around 1880, an innovative human-powered tractor was introduced, marking a milestone in agricultural history. This peculiar vehicle, powered by human force, was a creative response to the need for moving large stones and other heavy materials in the field. Although it lacked steam or combustion engines, this tractor foreshadowed the era of modern agricultural machinery, merging human strength with mechanical ingenuity to transform agricultural labor. Number 29, Yakov Djugashvili, captured. Yakov Djugashvili, the son of Joseph Stalin, was captured by German forces during World War II. The Nazis attempted to exchange him for Soviet prisoners of war, but Stalin vehemently refused, unwilling to negotiate the release of his own son. This act reflects the harshness of the Soviet regime and Stalin's iron grip over his decisions, even when it came to his own child. The photograph of Yakov in prison and the context of his capture serve as a reminder of the personal costs that individuals had to pay amid wars and extreme ideologies. Number 28, patients smoking. In the 1950s, smoking in hospitals was common and seen as completely normal. Cigarettes were even recommended to relieve patients' anxiety and offered in their rooms. At that time, the health effects of tobacco were not well understood, and many viewed smoking as a relaxing activity. This photo of patients smoking in a hospital reflects an era when awareness about tobacco and its risks was far from a priority. Now, the contrast is striking, as smoking in public and private spaces is heavily regulated. Number 27, children for sale. A chilling photo shows a desperate woman in such an extreme situation that she posted an advertisement seeking a buyer for her 4 children. Abandoned by her husband and trapped in an abusive relationship, the woman made this tragic decision in the hope of starting a new life. The children were sent into the hands of farmers, forced to live a life of labor and abuse. Decades later, these children were reunited, but the emotional scars from their painful past never disappeared. This image is a grim reminder of the deep inequalities and despair that marked certain periods of history. Number 26, Frozen Niagara Falls, 1885. In 1885, parts of Niagara Falls froze due to extremely low temperatures, creating a spectacular sight that amazed onlookers. Although the phenomenon was rare, the image of the frozen falls remains one of the most stunning in nature. This wonder reflects the power and beauty of nature, as well as the mystery surrounding such extraordinary phenomena. Over the centuries, the falls have been a symbol of untamed nature and its ability to astonish even future generations. Number 25, Echoes of American Troops, 1918. In 1918, during World War I, American troops marched through the streets of Vladivostok, Russia, as part of the foreign intervention in the Russian Civil War. This photo, taken at the time, captures the sense of purpose and determination of these soldiers, who were symbols of Western intervention in a distant conflict. The image offers a fascinating glimpse into a lesser-known chapter of World War I and the Russian Civil War, showing how the echoes of war transcended geographical boundaries. Number 24, Money Used as Toys in German Hyperinflation, 1922. In 1922, Germany underwent such a severe hyperinflation crisis that the value of its currency plummeted to unsustainable levels. However, instead of symbolizing despair, the banknotes became toys for German children. With the money virtually worthless, children used the bills as building blocks, creating towers and figures while the economy collapsed around them. This surreal image shows the human impact of hyperinflation and the resilience of a generation that found ways to adapt even in times of extreme crisis. Number 23, Austrian troops in the mountains, 1916. A striking photograph from March 1916 shows Austrian troops in the mountains during World War I. These soldiers, facing extreme conditions, were preparing for decisive battles as they fought in the cold alpine peaks. This image not only captures the harshness of war, but also the camaraderie and bravery of those fighting in nearly impossible conditions. The photograph offers a glimpse into the lives of soldiers in the mountains, a forgotten part of history that, through this image, becomes a symbol of resistance and sacrifice. Number 22, Hitler and Hindenburg, 1933. On January 30th, 1933, Adolf Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany by President Paul von Hindenburg. This act marked a turning point in the country's history, signaling the rise to power of Hitler and the establishment of the Nazi regime. The meeting between the two men symbolizes an alliance that would prove crucial for the future of Germany and the world. The photograph of this historical moment serves as a reminder of how the political decisions of one generation can change the course of history irreversibly. Number 21, the city of Dresden. After the devastating bombings of World War II, Dresden lay in ruins. The city, once a vibrant cultural and artistic center, transformed into a symbol of the magnitude of destruction that war brought with it. For generations, the scars of that destruction remained visible in every corner of the city. However, Dresden also became a symbol of resilience and hope, as over time, the city's inhabitants worked tirelessly to rebuild and heal. Its story is a powerful reminder of the horrors of war and the strength of humanity to rebuild and move forward after tragedy. Number 20, Vladimir Putin and George Bush, 2006. In 2006, a historic meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and US President George Bush captured worldwide attention. During their meeting, Putin gifted Bush a Russian car, the first such gift the American president would receive. The gesture was friendly, and the photo shows both leaders inspecting the car, although they decided not to test drive it. This event marked a high point in the diplomatic relations between the two countries at the time, an image that reflects a moment of cooperation between two global superpowers, though with underlying tensions in the background. Number 19, Family Bicycle, 1939. In 1939, a unique invention changed the way families spent time together. It was a gigantic tandem bicycle, designed so that the whole family could pedal together and enjoy the outdoors. This machine not only provided fun, but also practicality, allowing parents and children to connect while pedaling along the streets. Additionally, the bicycle came with a sewing machine mounted on it, adding a touch of creativity and functionality. This invention was not only an ingenious creation, but also a symbol of the importance of family unity in simpler times. Number 18. Athletes. Passing cigarettes in the Tour de France, 1920s. The image of a group of cyclists from the Tour de France in the 1920s shows a behavior that would seem surprising today. The athletes passing cigarettes among themselves while pedaling through the most challenging routes of the Tour. In an era when the definition of health was very different, this curious habit demonstrates how performance and physical well-being were viewed very differently back then. Despite the race's demands, the cyclists still found time to smoke and socialize. Number 17. David Bowie's performance, 1983. In 1983, David Bowie gave a series of unforgettable concerts in a quarry in Buckinghamshire, England, which attracted over 150,000 people. It was a massive event, requiring additional transportation by trains and buses due to the overwhelming crowd. Over 3 nights, fans were able to see Bowie at his peak, offering one of his first live performances in England in over 5 years. This event not only solidified his status as a rock legend, but also highlighted the unique connection Bowie had with his audience, creating an unforgettable experience for his followers. It was a weekend full of energy, music, and magic. Number 16. Einstein. Deriving an equation, 1934. In December 1934, the renowned physicist Albert Einstein visited Pittsburgh to give a lecture at the Carnegie Institute of Technology. During his visit, he was photographed working on one of his most famous equations, the theory of relativity. This image became one of the most iconic of Einstein, showing the scientific genius in his element, solving complex problems that would change our understanding of the universe. Through this photo, the man who transformed modern physics seems to share a moment of brilliant concentration, a testament to his scientific legacy. Number 15. Girls washing a replica of a Studebaker, 1934. In the summer of 1934, a group of girls gathered to wash a gigantic replica of the Studebaker car, which had been considered the largest car in the world. The photo, taken on a warm, sunny day, shows the girls in vintage swimsuits working together to clean the enormous vehicle, which was a fascinating spectacle in itself. The scene reflects the joy and camaraderie of the era, and the car became a popular attraction, drawing the attention of everyone passing by. This event, filled with laughter and teamwork, captured the essence of the 1930s and became a unique piece of entertainment and pop culture history. Number 14. The Bin Laden family. In a photo taken in 1971, a young Bin Laden family poses in Sweden during a trip. Among them is the infamous Osama bin Laden, the future leader of Al-Qaeda. At that time, Osama was still a 14-year-old boy, enjoying educational opportunities and travels that others could only imagine. This photo shows a completely different side of the Bin Laden family, before Osama's decisions led him down a dark path that would change his life and the history of the world. A reminder of how fate can take unexpected turns. Number 13. The British Prime Minister on the beach, date unknown. Although Winston Churchill is remembered for his steadfastness during World War II, this photo shows his more human side. In it, he is seen relaxed and enjoying a day off at the beach, mingling with ordinary people as he took a break from the tense political responsibilities. This image offers a new perspective on Churchill, showing that even the most powerful leaders also deserve moments of personal peace and enjoyment. His presence on the beach humanizes his historical figure, reminding us that we all need moments of relaxation, no matter our position in society. Number 12. The Old Electric Car, 1898. At the end of the 19th century, Grand Duke Alexei Alexandrovich Romanov received one of the first electric cars in the world, a true symbol of luxury and modernity. This electric car, which was a technological marvel of its time, represented the blend of aristocracy and advances in mobility. The photo that immortalizes it, taken in 1898, captures the spirit of innovation that was transforming the automotive industry at a time when electric vehicles were a futuristic vision, very different from the gasoline cars that would dominate the following decades. Number 11. Harley-Davidson motorcycle. The history of Harley-Davidson began in a shed in Wisconsin, where brothers Arthur and Walter Davidson, along with William S. Harley, built their first motorcycle in 1903. Over the years, Harley-Davidson became an icon of American culture and the motorcycle industry, maintaining its place in history as one of the most emblematic and admired brands in the world. The motorcycle they created in 1903 is now displayed at the Harley-Davidson Museum in Milwaukee as a testament to the passion and ingenuity of the brand's pioneers. Number 10. Soldiers sharing their food in Dresden, World War II. During World War II, in the desolate German city of Dresden, a German soldier in the midst of devastation decided to share his food with a Russian woman and her child. Despite the brutality of the surrounding conflict, this act of kindness showed that even in the darkest moments of war, humanity can prevail. A fleeting moment of generosity in the midst of tragedy, captured by the camera, reminds us that compassion can arise even in the most inhumane circumstances. Number 9. Freddie Mercury with his mother. Freddie Mercury, the legendary lead vocalist of Queen, appears in this moving photograph with his mother, Jerabelle Sloan, when he was just 1 year old. Although the image is from his youth, it is impossible not to think of the monumental figure he would later become. With his unique voice and commanding presence, Freddie Mercury left an indelible mark on music and pop culture. His early death, at the age of 45, left a sense of emptiness, but his legacy endures. This photo reminds us that behind every great figure, there is a personal story and a family bond that defines who they are. Number 8. Airplane oxygen masks. In the early days of commercial aviation, when flights reached higher altitudes, passengers used oxygen masks. These masks were introduced to help prevent hypoxia, a risk associated with a lack of oxygen at high altitudes, and to ensure the comfort of travelers. This photo represents a historic moment in the evolution of aviation, when safety technology began to evolve rapidly to protect passengers on higher altitude flights. Today, those masks are common on all commercial planes, a reminder of how technological progress has made flying safer and more accessible. Number 7. The airplane under the Eiffel Tower, 1944. In 1944, two bold pilots, Officer Bob Berman and Flight Sergeant Bill Bryan, had a reckless idea that would make them go down in history. While sharing drinks with a photographer in a Paris bar, the idea came up to fly their plane under the Eiffel Tower to capture an epic image. The next day, they carried out their risky stunt, narrowly avoiding the Trocadero Hotel. The photographer managed to capture the moment, but fearing the consequences, the pilots decided to remain anonymous. However, their squadron soon discovered what they had done, marking an iconic moment that would be immortalized in history. Number 6. Helen Mirren, 1967. A surreal photo of Helen Mirren taken in 1967 shows her with a timeless beauty. In this image, the young actress seems to come from another era, with a style and presence that give her an air of mystery and sophistication. Helen Mirren, who would later become one of the most talented and respected actresses of her generation, already displayed a unique brilliance in her early years. This photograph is just one example of the talent and elegance that Helen has always projected, a woman whose career is a testament to her longevity and ability to reinvent herself over time. Number 5. Extraterrestrial fragments. Injured, 1954. In 1954, a woman in the United States was injured by fragments of material from space. This event was an extraordinary phenomenon and marked a milestone in the history of encounters with extraterrestrial objects. The fragments, believed to have come from a meteorite or some other celestial body, opened a new chapter in the exploration and study of space phenomena. The story fueled humanity's fascination with the universe and its mysteries, sparking a surge of interest in the possibility of life beyond Earth. Number 4. Halloween, in the 1920s. In the 1920s, Halloween was still developing into what we know today. Instead of traditional costumes, some artists opted to ride horses while wearing terrifying costumes, creating a unique spectacle. Nighttime parades and processions were a popular way to celebrate, where participants dressed up as skeletons and other spooky figures. This image from the era captures the mix of festivity and macabre that defined Halloween celebrations in those years. Number 3. Portrait of Frida and her father. Frida Kahlo, one of the most iconic artists of the 20th century, had a very special relationship with her father, who profoundly influenced her life and art. After his death, Frida painted a portrait of him as a final tribute, capturing both the love she felt for him and the sadness of her loss. This work reflects Frida's unique ability to express her deepest emotions through art, a visual language that speaks to the personal and unbreakable connection she maintained with loved ones, even after death. Frida not only created art, but also left a legacy of authenticity and emotional vulnerability. Number 2. Costume with a facial mask. In times of war and adversity, people often resort to creativity to adapt to difficult circumstances. In ancient times, warriors and soldiers who suffered facial injuries would wear ornamental masks to cover their scars. These costumes not only served to protect the wounds, but also became symbols of power, courage, and pride. The masks were a way of turning suffering into a tool of intimidation, transforming a physical imperfection into a fierce and honorable appearance. This art of hiding battle scars in a decorated mask reminds us of how humanity has used aesthetics to face adversity. Number 1. The aeroboat in St. Petersburg, 1900s. At the beginning of the 20th century, the waters of St. Petersburg were crossed by the elegant aeroboat, an engineering marvel that glided smoothly over the river. This innovative boat, combining design and functionality, became a symbol of the modernity of the era. It was a key piece of urban transport in the Russian city, adding a futuristic touch to the landscapes of the time. The aeroboats were a manifestation of technological avant-garde, a precursor to what would be future aquatic transport, leaving a lasting mark on the history of transportation. These photos not only capture historical moments, but also the emotions, struggles, and victories that define different eras. Each one offers a unique window into the human stories behind the great events and figures that shaped them. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.